All right. Okay, folks, here we are. This is our roundtable, another one that I've recorded today. This is roundtable number six. Actually, I'm here with Adam Hayward. Adam is a great resource for our town. He serves on a number of boards. He's been involved in a couple of key areas, and I consider Adam to be very reliable, a great source, a subject matter specialist in community preservation. He's devoted a lot of his time and energy there, and he's a great presenter and a great speaker as well. So, um, community preservation is just an amazing area. It's one of the things that we do in this town that really adds to the quality of our life, and the character of our town, and even what it looks like. I mean, this is where we funnel money, we isolate money, we get some of that money matched by the state to do things like, protect and expand, develop, and take care of our open spaces, our historical buildings, um, just a number of things that speak to our culture, speak to our quality of life, and the type of town that we are. So the there's six chapters in the warrant, which I've projected in the other round tables. I won't project them again here. So, but there are 10 articles related to community preservation. Article 17, if you count all of them all the way to 26, that's exactly 10. However, I'm going to open up with a zoning bylaw, which I'll have Adam explain to us a little bit what that is, because that's not part of the community preservation section of the warrant, 17 through 26. This comes earlier in the meeting, and it's article number 8, I believe. Is that right?
Yes, sir. So this is Article 8. It's the CPC bylaw. It's the bylaw
CPC bylaw. Okay, I'm going to
that it
project it right now. Okay, thank you for
yeah.
correcting me.
So
There you go.
last year at the 2025 annual town meeting, um, we had addressed a couple of membership stakes on the committee that were um, assigned to committees that no longer exist. So, in order to get a full board, what we did is we replaced those two positions with members of the public. However, when we were making that adjustment, we set the initial terms, but we did not discuss how the subsequent terms for those public members were going to be addressed. And Article 8 corrects that oversight.
Hmm, okay. Well, that's a pretty short article. Um, by the way, all these articles have summaries. I think next year I'm gonna advocate if we can put the summaries at the beginning, because sometimes my eyes just glaze over when I look at the article, and some of it is technical and detailed and legalese. And then when I read the summary, say, oh, I get it. So yeah, so that's simple enough. You're basically, addressing the conditions that are in place today. Simple enough. Let's see what it says here. At the 2025 annual town meeting, the town voted to amend the bylaw to change the composition of the committee. This amendment updated the membership to align with current committees and boards and added two residential members. Great. Community Preservation Committee, six, to establish the terms as outlined above. Great. So let me go to the community preservation section of the warrant. Again, there's six major chapters, and one of the chapters is the community preservation section. So let me get to it right now. So tell me, any big changes that we should be aware of? Anything dramatic? Anything consequential or controversial as far as, from your perspective, just as a citizen, not as a driver, or that you are, promoting a specific article or issue?
No,
Just
I
your.
think we've dialed in the process quite a bit in the past few years to really hammer these down and make them very thorough documents as far as the applications that are proposed. And we're trying to ask all the questions ahead of time so we don't have, sometimes what had happened in the past is, you do a project and then in a few years, oh, we spent all that money, we need some more to finish it. Um,
Mhm.
saw that a few times. So that was something that we wanted to address. So, aside from that, it's just getting it organized, making sure all the ducks are in a row, and kicking it out to the people to see if it's something they'd like to do. as far as the CPC goes, all we're really concerned about, not advocating for any project over another, is do the projects meet the requirements of the CPA law? Um, if they do, and they're fully vetted and attainable, then it's been the position of the board to put them forward and let the people have the final say.
The This is like really straightforward. 35,000 committee administrative expenses, 72 to go to open space. This is what you call set asides.
Yeah,
72,000 go to historic preservation. Like you said, this is really governed by state law as well.
this this is governed by the CPA law. It requires we put 10% of total revenue in each of
These are the areas,
the
the
three
10%.
categories. So open
Okay.
space, historical preservation, and community housing.
What is
Um,
could I ask you what is community housing?
so community housing is set asides to address affordable housing needs in the community. Um,
Okay. All right.
we're we'll I think we'll see a bylaw coming up pretty quick that's going to address how to spend those funds, because as it is right now, those funds, we have to set aside 10% of our total revenue every year, and we don't have a mechanism in place to access those funds.
Okay, so these set asides are just like what it says. We got this big bucket that collects both the money from our property owners and also what's
The
matched by
state
the
match.
state, and then
Yep.
and then you guys put them into other buckets. That doesn't mean you immediately need to spend them. That money could just that's been set aside and can accumulate for eventual deployment in the future. Would that be a fair assessment?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
And then any of the money that doesn't go into one of those three categories goes into our general slash
And back
recreation
to the general
category.
fund for eventual redistribution.
Yeah, and a lot of, you'll notice as we go through, a lot of these projects actually come from the general recreation category
Got it.
because they don't fit into one of the other three categories.
This is an interesting article I read the other day when I looked at the warrant, Article 18, CPA acknowledgement signs. What is this all about?
So the committee prior to my time had made the determination that on all CPA projects going forward, they wanted to have an acknowledgement sign, the letting the people know that, hey, we spent your CPA tax dollars to do this.
Yeah.
Um, but there's a handful of projects. I believe it's about 20 projects that were completed prior to that rule being put in place.
Okay.
And this money is going to go back and put signage on those projects to to give the credit, that the CPA dollars were being spent there, and just let people know what their money is getting.
Yeah. I
Go
mean,
all projects going forward. This signage is carried in the budget for the project.
yeah.
This is
Yeah.
just again correcting a past
So
situation.
so so each sign provides a disclosure and transparency that equals approximately 6 to 8 hours of meetings.
Yeah, you're not wrong there.
So
And
I
it's
can
not it's
so I
it's a
can
pretty
just drive by and say this project is for some, and I don't have to go to a meeting or watch or read minutes and watch videotape of hours of meetings. I see what's going on. It's a good thing.
our meetings are fun though.
They are fun. Okay, that's fun. All right, we're gonna put some. We're gonna get play some hoop at Bagnall,
Yep.
and
So this
we're gonna have
project,
we're gonna have real nets. Not
yep,
like the neighborhood I grew up with in Everett and Malden. We didn't have any nets.
yep. This is going to replace the existing basketball court at Bagnell, and then it's also going to add a little play area off the backside that'll have some hopscotch and foursquare, and then it's going to repave the current play yard. Which is in terrible condition. If you've been down there, there's cracks and frost heaves all over it.
Sure, sure.
Uh, so the basketball court will be a regulation size basketball court, concrete. So it'll have both ends. I believe currently it only has the hoop at one end. It's only a half court. So
It's a lot of money. I mean, we're spending 250,000. That's good. I'm glad you're doing that. If you know, what's the lifespan of a basketball court in Groveland?
Um, it's funny because that's one of the questions that came up as we were grilling the applicant on this, and believe it was a 20 to 25 year lifespan.
All right. Okay. All right. That's good. Good to
You know,
kind of good
there'll
to
be
know.
there'll be some level of maintenance going to have to be done to it. In 5 or 10 years, maybe the lines need to be repainted. But
Yeah.
like anything else, if you take care of it, it's going to last.
We have a very vibrant historic preservation culture in our town. So tell us a little bit about the Vito Hand Tub Museum and
Yep,
the actual the Vito tub, which is what 300 years old or something like that.
it's been described to me as one of the 10 oldest pieces of fire apparatus that are left in this country.
Wow.
Um, it's got a great story behind it. I actually learned a lot going through. I helped develop this project myself. This project has been on the warrant a couple of times. Even as recently as last year, there was a
Mm.
project that was extended because it had expired in the amount of $52,825.
Hmm.
Um, that money was determined to be insufficient to complete the project as it was proposed.
Hmm.
So the CPC, we closed the project and returned the funds for future allocation. Um, this article is asking for $86,500, and this is going to come out of the specific historic preservation bucket. And it's going to complete the restoration, complete the Vito Hand Tub Museum that's at Town Hall. It's located right in the front lobby, which is actually the back lobby. Um, it's going to build a platform to display the Vito. It's going to put some display cases, replace the flooring, redo the lighting, and we're also going to do a cosmetic restoration of the Vito
Hmm.
hand tub itself. And it's a great story behind it. The Historic Society was behind this. I mean, they even have a veto committee that's got some past and present firefighters on it.
Hmm.
Um, the history I'm learning from this, it's wonderful. It's the nozzles on the hoses were made by Paul Revere himself.
Wow.
So that's what.
So the museum feature, there'll be a museum feature where there'll be things that we can read
Yeah,
about.
there'll be all kinds of storyboards and
Yeah,
pictures.
storyboard. That was the word I'm looking for. Yeah, nice,
Yep.
nice, great. Well, we might have to hire security to protect that from.
I put in for some velvet ropes.
There you go. Perry Park, another historic gem in our town. What's going on here?
So last year at town meeting was Perry Park Phase One,
Mm.
and it was to do a redesign of Perry Park, get rid of some invasive weeds,
Hmm.
and they had a bunch of community engagement sessions where they worked with the contractor to come up with a conceptual design of what Perry Park might look like. They got those drawings to 50% construction drawings. This phase two of the project will complete and nail down the design as well as produce 100% construction documents and bid specifications. So in the future, other grants can be sought for construction, whether it be through CPC or through outside sources.
I'm always amazed with modern lighting. The way that they're designed, least amount of electricity is used. You've got features of the lighting that point the lighting down so that not like the neighborhood I grew up with when if you were next to a manufacturing firm, it was like being on an oil rig. The whole neighborhood was lit up. So
Right.
this I know there's a lot of very thoughtful things have gone into this, and people have really thought long and hard as to how we can, you know, what lighting design we can use in at Pines, to safely illuminate the activities and events that go there, but also minimize the impact to neighbors. So
Yeah.
this is a lot of money, and it's a big deal. I mean, if I lived near Pines, I would love to know what's coming. So tell us about it.
Well, this happens to be a particular area of expertise for me, as it's what I do in my real life.
Hmm.
Um, so this project, we're looking for $137,500 that'll come out of the general or recreation category.
Hmm.
And what this is going to do, it's going to provide design and engineering for lighting at the Pines. Um,
Okay.
we're looking to light up the two utility fields that are currently used in the fall by the Youth Football League,
Yeah.
as well as lighting on the basketball court, lighting for the tennis and pickleball courts, lighting for the playground, the skate park, the baseball field, and then to kind of hit on what you had just said earlier, to replace the lighting on the softball field with more energy efficient and directional fixtures. The project will complete a site survey, 100% construction documents, a phasing plan, which is going to be an important role in this. It's going to be expensive, but we're planning to chunk it off into pieces each year, so it's not a big hit, and so we don't have to borrow money to do it, and we can do it within the what the CPA has available, and then it'll also provide bid support for contractors to bid when the project does go out to bid if we decide to move forward with it.
So the community preservation articles, the, the one that we saw that for the set asides, that's what that is. We've got money in the big bucket. We're going to set it aside to use for these categories because that's required by law. That doesn't mean immediate spending of money. It's what we need to set aside. And for many of those projects, we're setting aside money to build up to a certain level that can be invested later.
Correct.
This is different. These articles are, we're asking the town meeting to allow us to go into the big bucket of community preservation funds and to immediately implement that money, to deploy it for these specific projects. So that's
Yep.
different from a set aside, correct?
Correct. These specific projects have been vetted and designed and gone through. I mean, I think we spent 6 or 8 meetings tearing these things apart, asking all the questions. These are shovel ready, ready to go projects, every single one of them.
Well, I appreciate that. I know the work you do, and there's a lot of very dedicated people in this town that make things happen. So I know there's a lot of work in here. Community preservation deserves its own category because there's a ton of work and meetings and time and thought that goes into it, and it's a lot of money. I mean, we've asked the people of our town to pony up money for these projects to build the character and maintain the character of our town. But I know a lot of thought goes into it, so that's good.
No, it's
Appreciate it.
very much so. And this is a voluntary tax that we all pay.
Yeah.
So it's particularly important to me to see that it's being well spent and not being wasted.
So Article 23 reminds me of the fact there was a bathroom problem with the space vehicle that went up to the moon. We're not going to have a problem at Shanahan, I guess.
Well, as I understand it, we have problems now with the structure that's there.
Okay, there you go.
It's reached the end of its life. Um, it was it was a band-aid solution 10 years
Yeah,
ago when it was installed, and
yeah.
it probably, I don't want to say it wasn't the right thing to put there at the time. It would, but now with Shanahan being more used more and soccer growing further than it was, 10 years ago, it just can't handle the volume that's being put in it. So this project is looking for $297,550 from the general
Hmm.
recreation category. And what this project's going to do is replace the existing bathroom facility that's at Shanahan Field. Again, that the existing facilities are at end of life and it's becoming a maintenance issue,
Hmm.
which the town doesn't have the money to maintain. And when they were put in, they were also put on a septic, a tight tank septic, which is something that needs to be pumped out once a year at minimum. And again, it's just becoming a point where they're no longer um, it was explained to the committee that if these aren't replaced, that the town's likely going to have to close the facilities there and
Yeah, or end up with portalettes or something.
correct.
So so
So
we're
this will
gonna.
be a new structure. Um, it's going to tie into the sewer on Main Street. So we
That's
want,
amazing. I didn't know that about the septic. That's like wow.
yeah.
Why wasn't this on an article 10 years ago? Wow. Holy
Well,
moly.
I think they had a small amount of money to work with, and they did the
I
best they
see.
could.
Yeah.
Um,
You didn't have enough set asides.
there you have it. Um,
Um,
the other
was the existing facility not ADA compliant?
it I don't want to speak to that because I don't know for sure.
Okay. All right. No, don't
Um,
wanna-
but there's also a portion of this that's going to connect the new parking lot to the
Hmm.
bathrooms with an ADA compliant walkway. So you'll be able to take a wheelchair from the parking lot straight to the bathrooms as well as access the fields from it.
I mean, you just think about the field is beautiful. We've got the river behind us, a little bit of patch of woods. We got this really aesthetically pleasing, parking facility now. So I'm sure that these bathrooms are also going to be aesthetically pleasing to look at.
Yeah, for sure. The conceptual looked a lot like the ones that are down at the Pines.
I don't know. I guess we must be having an aging population in Groveland because here's another bathroom project. Tell us about Washington Park.
So this was actually requested by the Community Preservation Committee when the Shanahan bathrooms came up. We had asked the question: is there any level of if we do this in volume and we do bathrooms at Washington Park as well at the same time because there's no facilities over there, would there be anything to be saved by combining the two projects? Unfortunately, there was not a large savings to combine them because they're going to have to come on separate trucks, and the shipping is really what's driving the cost. And then you got a
Mm,
crane to unload it, set it into place. However,
mm,
we did
yeah,
feel it was necessary. Currently at Washington Park, they just have the porta johns there,
yeah.
and and the baseball league pays for maintains those, so those aren't necessarily available if you're over there playing basketball at the basketball courts that were redone a couple years ago at Washington Park, or if you're on the playground out front, those facilities aren't available to you. So we thought, with this one, it would make sense to also do some bathrooms up there that are accessible to everybody. This one's slightly different from the Shanahan Field one because this will go into a septic system.
Okay.
However, provisions will be made to connect it onto sewer if sewer ever makes its way down the street there.
Oh, if it ever, okay,
Sewer is not available there at the moment.
so if it ever makes it down there, we're gonna have an article maybe to connect it at some point.
Or maybe water and sewer department will do us a
Yeah.
favor and just connect on.
You know, Yola and I, my wife Yolanda and I, we raised 4 children here in Groveland, and she grew up in Everett, I grew up in Everett and Malden, and we have 7 beautiful memorable years at Washington Park. 7 years of with 4 kids, everything was measured in 7 to 13 years. We had 7 years of Little League baseball, and just some of the nicest memories of my of raising children was at Washington Park. And I remember when my parents came down, or we had friends or relatives come down and watch the kids play. Can you imagine, just what we've done to the Pines and what we've done to Shanahan and what we're doing at Washington. It's also a great way to showcase our town and say, we're so proud of our town. We have people from that don't live here and come down and go into these places. So I'm just like amazed by the impact of community preservation. It's probably the biggest impact on our town is what comes through the CPC. It's amazing.
No, and I similar experience to myself when my oldest was going through baseball. We had two babies at the time, and
Yeah.
have you ever tried to change a baby in a porta john? It's not fun.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not fun. No, no. Article 25, and here we go again, beautifying our town. We have some dedicated horticulturists and gardeners and people with green thumbs. that just do amazing work. And every
Yeah,
time every time we put money into these areas, I always say that's all, because the impact versus what we invest in community gardening is so impressive to me. So what's this all about? What's going on here? It's a small amount of money to me.
yeah.
Sixteen
So,
thousand. I'm
so
gonna do
phase
amazing
one,
things with that money.
phase one again was a 2025 project that
Yeah.
did a feasibility study of where in town we could put a community garden. The area they determined would be best suited for it is the old dog park at the Pines, um,
Okay.
out behind the softball field, down by the boat ramp.
Okay.
So
All right.
this phase two is going to give a water connection to that area.
Hmm.
Obviously, water supply is going to be important for growing plants. And once the water supply is in place, grants will be sought to complete construction of some raised garden beds and have a fully operational um, community garden space. So
Nice.
this is gonna we're gonna run out town water out there. It'll go through a meter. The cost of the water will be covered by whatever user fees are set up for the community garden.
I was just going to ask, where's the money coming from? We're not impacting our water rate payers
Nope.
directly. There are user fees here.
Yep. So there'll be just like any other field in town. If you rent the field out, you rent a
Yeah.
bed in the garden. There'll be some level of user fee attached to it.
Now you're on the finance committee as well.
I am.
So are all user fees covering what needs to be covered, as far as you know?
I know that that falls under the purview of the select board more so than the finance committee, and I know
Yeah.
the town administrator is working with the select board to review all the field user fees, so they're going through a refresh
Mhm.
at the moment
Yeah. Yeah.
to try and cover some of that. And I mean that could harken back as well to if you go to the lighting at the Pines. Who's going to pay that electric bill? Well, it'll be rolled into the user fees of the fields to cover the lights. I know,
Okay.
like currently, I don't want to jump back to that project, but I'm going to. Um, when the
Hmm.
youth football league rents the two utility fields, they bring in light towers that they rent, and then they fuel them. And I've spoken to them. And they said we'd much rather just pay more to use the field than turn a switch on.
Okay. Cool.
So
The
um,
last the last one here is the Crosstown Trail project, and this is a consequential article. I know that there's some concerns. There are folks who are, for and against this. So, can you speak to some of the details? Neither one of us can and should take a position publicly, but can you give us a little bit of a flavor as to what the big deal is about this? Because it is a big deal for some people, and that needs to be respected.
no, no, agreed. And we actually worked with the applicant on this. The CPC was very mindful. There was a group of residents that were concerned that they didn't want to grant a right of way through their properties, which is what I should back up. This is a rehash of an existing project. There was an existing project to connect Town Forest to the Crane Pond wildlife area that had proposed going through some private properties that were going to need easements. The owners
Mhm.
of those properties were not in favor of it and came and spoke against it. Um, so the Conservation Commission submitted this project, and again, we closed out the prior project and got that money back. So now this is a fresh new project, new scope of work. Um, the it's a two-part project. The first one is going to connect Main Street through Nichols Village onto the existing Town Forest Trail system. There's
Mhm.
currently an easement in place with Nichols Village to allow this trail to go through there, so there's no issues there. And that's phase one of the project, if you will. But the project may continue to connect the other end of the Town Forest trails to the West Newbury Trail system, as well as the Crane Pond WMA upon the successful procurement of the necessary easements. So the CPC, when we were going through this, we did eliminate, there was a loop trail that was on a parcel of land that the abutters did not want the trail there. So we asked the applicant if we could roll that back off of the project, and they obliged. So we took that out of it, but there is still, I believe, one or two necessary easements um, to make those final connections. Um, but the committee is set the stipulation that those easements come first. If you don't get the easements, then we don't build that end of the project and we stop it just through the Nichols Village.
And who is right? So we could still have a project because I'm familiar with that easement. I've hiked in those woods, in the woodlands. So who is the applicant?
The Conservation Commission.
Okay, that's I thought so. I just wanted to be clear. Okay, well, that's great. This is this is a big deal. There are people that are affected by it, and I hope that we have very good, respectful, thoughtful, discussion about it. And I could see that the select board and the finance board are indicating favorable action. And I might call on you to clarify some of these articles, like I will a couple of other folks. I don't pretend to be an expert in any article. My job is hopefully to be able to, to fulfill what the voters have asked me to do, and that is to run a good, efficient meeting, make it as comfortable and pleasant as possible, and hopefully we'll get a big turnout as well. So I might call on you on some of these just to clarify some of the issues, because I know that you put a lot of time into these, and I do value you, as a subject matter specialist in some of these. So I appreciate
Oh,
that.
it'll be my pleasure. I'll be sitting up right front and center with the finance board. So,
Yeah, front and center, because I'm, like I did last year with DJ McNulty. I said, "Here, take my microphone." I mean, I don't want him to make a major presentation with people looking at his back.
no,
So I've got some discretion on how I run a meeting, and I'd be more than happy to sit in the audience for some of it. That's my role, is to hopefully run a good meeting, and let people that know what they're talking about, of which I'm not on that list for most of these things, do the talking. So.
yeah. Well, again, I appreciate you doing this. I think it's good to get the information out to the folks ahead of time. And maybe quell some of those questions. If anybody has any questions prior to town meeting, if you can contact me via the town administrator, and I'd be happy to answer anything that comes up.
What is your position on the CPC?
Uh,
You're a member? Are you a chair, vice chair?
I
Do you
am
have
the
a
chair of the Community Preservation Committee,
committee president? And what's your position on the finance committee?
vice chair.
Vice chair. Okay, very good. So people can find you on the website by clicking on those departments, and or through the town administrator, but they can also find your email there. I'm
Oh,
assuming.
absolutely.
Very good. Adam, thank you very much. Appreciate your service, your commitment, and putting a lot of clear understanding on this huge component to our town meeting. So thanks very much for your
My
time.
pleasure.
All righty. You take care. Bye
Thank
bye
you,
now.
sir.
Yeah. Bye bye.